Okay, have a video topic that I was going to just discuss, but unfortunately, there is an issue that is, unfortunately, in conjunction with this present issue, and that is cheaters in the Desert Perpetual contest mode raid. So, as some people may know, how do I say this? Apologies if I struggle with my words, but this is kind of from the heart, so that's how it goes. But, Mr. Gaming Counselor, he was a creator that I followed along with a little bit, watched some of his videos. I don't even think I was officially subscribed to his channel full on. And he posted a video covering some discourse he was having with Mr. Rothwaffles on Twitter, and kind of talking about toxic positivity and how it is a problem with Destiny, which I do agree. Being overly positive and only talking about the positives and never addressing the negatives does lead to some issues when it comes to representing the state of Destiny right now. However, it did come to light from his own community as well as my own in some of my comments that he was exposed for allegedly cheating during his Desert Perpetual raid. Now, according to him, he joined an LFG, people were wonky, and he wasn't the direct cheater. Other people cheated and is clear. And unfortunately, that is a side effect of Bungie's code of conduct that oftentimes just associating with cheaters, even if it's accidental, does lead you to getting banned. Now, if he did knowingly cheat, get banned, straight up, stay banned. But if he was, unfortunately, in the presence of, if he was in the presence of cheaters unknowingly and he was just trying to get the clear, unfortunately, you will also probably get banned to that, but you can appeal, as is probably likely. However, I do not support or defend Mr. Gaming Counselor. I am very neutral in this aspect. I'm not even sure the man knows my name. And I don't want to catch any heat from watching or reacting to his video, because unfortunately it is a side effect of watching that video. I did not know the cheating allegations were there flat out. If the cheating allegations were there, I probably would have not covered that video. Regardless, unfortunately, I do not support or defend. I'm just very neutral. If you cheat, get banned. There is pretty much no, other way to say that. If you're a cheater, get banned. If you unfortunately had the instance of being present to a cheater, if it's entirely accidental, maybe appeal, get unbanned, but there is no other way to say it. Unfortunately, I do not want to catch any heat. I'm keeping my hands clean of this as much as possible. Regardless, we need to discuss the Desert Perpetual and the top 100 and this absolute mad lad of aquativity here on Twitter that went through, and of course, disclaimer, placements, time, and leaderboards and everything else like that. According to RaidDub.io, he went through the top 100 cheaters and allegedly exposed 60 or more, at least half of the top 100 clears of Contest Desert Perpetual, and has designated them cheaters. Now, some of them are very obvious reasons, which we will get to examples in a moment, but straight up, there are people not only adding input and disclosing other cheaters and also discussing it, but man, just straight up, it is, how do I say this? It's kind of dumbfounding to think that Destiny 2 or the Bungie team are looking at this almost a week later and looking at the top 100 to go, oh, maybe there were some cheaters. And they weren't monitoring the top 100 period, because if you look at some of these RaidHub.ios, it's very obvious who did and who did not cheat. This clear might as well had a guy named Cheater McCheatyface, as Sus and Bin Muhammad Al Gameban are present. Either way, this is kind of the perfect example of a cheating run. One person doing a lot more work than everyone else, sub 10 minutes, as well as just this description of weapons and loadouts. Only rocket launchers and a little bit of thunder, a little bit of Zoolies. No swapping, no changing, no other options, not to mention a rocket launcher being the main source of every kill. But other way, this is pretty much the main kind of look when it says this is a cheater team. So this is the Google Doc where they talk about everything else, and they cheated, who is a cheater, links to their sites and everything else like that. However, there is the obvious signs they discuss. Of course, sub 10 minute clears, using duality or Lawrence driver for net limiting. Some of repeat peoples in raids, I haven't seen that personally, but this man went through it, so I'd believe him. As well as unlimited heavy kills like we just saw in that last example. Also, fresh accounts with fewer than 5 total clears on the account. Now, unfortunately, that is one that you need to actually, research and look up these accounts on Raid Report to actually understand that, but I won't be going there. I will just be discussing this topic. Unfortunately, it is wild to think that the top 100 of people that cleared Desert Perpetual, more than half of them were cheaters that were frankly sometimes obvious and less than obvious, but knowingly, or they could be, identified if you actually do some looking. So it is indeed a wild time for Destiny. We have Grenadier Jake here. Please actually enforce punishment, which I wouldn't hope for it. I'd still recall during that time they put out the Pride shaders. Destiny 2 Twitter was either look at my Guardian with my rainbow shader, or there's cheaters everywhere and they haven't done anything to solve them. So of course the cheater problem is still alive and well when it comes to Destiny 2, not surprising. Now in the end, like I mentioned, it is unfortunate that I did have to cover Mr. Gaming Counselor. It is a side effect, though, that he was, exposed as an alleged cheater. We are not in any sort of conjunction. We don't even know each other professionally or casually. I don't even think the man knows my name. So, if it turns out that he is indeed a cheater, good riddance, get banned. But like I said, if it's actually a accidental case of running into LFGs, I feel bad for the guy. But regardless, if it comes out he is a cheater, then, get banned. That being said, this whole thing, I think Bungie needs to work a bit on their code of conduct, because unfortunately right here is a bit of a blunt hammer. Breaking code of conduct leads to, cheating, completing contest mode activities as a bannable offense. No argument there. However, players benefiting from cheating can also be subject to punishment. I would hope that they actually are knowing, and that if there's clear evidence of like using a carry team or cheater teams to get the clear, I would hope that that is one that they do ban, but the essence of the person that just ran into a random activity, maybe did an LFG post is try their luck at getting contest mode done, and they run into cheaters and suddenly they have the clear, that would not be the case of, a bannable offense in my opinion. So I would hope that Bungie is a little bit more lenient on how they actually ban some of these cheaters, air quotes, cheaters. Want to take a moment to clarify, when I say that they don't get banned, I don't mean they keep the contest mode clear. If somebody accidentally ends up with cheaters and end up clearing a contest mode raid, remove the contest clear, but do not ban them, because otherwise that is a bit of an issue. Either way, I just wanted to wrap up and say I'm sorry that I did end up covering Mr. Gaming Counselor. I probably wouldn't have covered him if I would have known about the cheating, but in the end of the day, unfortunately, it is content. I made the video. It talks about things that are more important than whether or not he was cheating or not. So the video is unfortunately going to stay up in the grand scheme of things. But I'm starting to ramble. I'm probably realize I've said the same thing a few times by now. But with that, my name is the Mad Scorpion. I will see you in the next video.